Welcome, everybody, to an early episode of the Source 4 show this week. I'm Edwin from Source 4 Gaming, and this is Brian. Say hi, Brian.
Hi, Brian.
Perfect. Perfect timing. We're doing great. We are absolute professionals here. We have years of broadcast experience, as you can obviously tell.
I mean, I sounded like something out of a morning show. I don't know about you.
We'll eventually figure it out, right? Well, so I guess we'll just start talking about some stuff. You've got your Castle Crashers background going, so I guess that'll lead into something we could talk about, which is Castle Crashers is just getting like an update kind of out of nowhere, which is surprising to me, and I'm actually kind of excited for it. Like I thought that was really fascinating that we're getting like this painter update that's going to let us have custom characters, and they're like redesigning like the artwork for all the characters. I was like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I've got some thoughts. Most of them are positive. I uh I know you're not as big on the Behemoths games. Like Castle Crashers
It is
hit big
specifically
Xbox
Castle
Live,
Crashers for me.
right? So it's not as surprising knowing how they've been supporting some of their other games. Like Alien Hominid got an
Mhm.
HD release maybe in the last couple of months. It might have been last year. I don't know how long
Yeah,
ago
yeah,
it
yeah.
was. But like that was a fun little I think it was a browser game. I don't even remember having to pay for it, but um like the fact that they're still giving tender loving care to games that are at this point probably pushing 20 years old.
Oh, easily.
Like
I That was like an early one for me. Let's see. When did Castle Crashers come out? Go ahead, keep talking.
my guess is 2010. But like it's just it's interesting. It doesn't seem to be adding a whole lot. Like obviously there's a new player character, which is nice, except I don't know that any of them were distinctly different. Although that is maybe something that's got my interest peaked is that they've advertised it as a new edition and
Mhm.
new gameplay style. Like I I can look up the exact phrasing of the release likely.
Yeah,
Steam
so
will
it
show up. There
came
we
out in like
go.
2008 is what I found. That was the original release date, so
Yeah, so
good
it's
16 years ago
15.
almost. Yeah.
Sure. But I'm assuming there's a boss tied to it because the new playable character is Paint Junior, which makes me assume there is Paint Larger
Oh yeah, there's
since
the
it is
painter
named
boss.
Painter Boss.
Yeah, it was just the painter boss from one of the castles. Like it was a boss that already existed.
Huh. Well, then maybe not as fun. But yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, it's not anything super noteworthy to me. I think it's interesting that people are taking it as such. Like nobody commented at their last update, which was like a year or two earlier, that was a graphical update or a gameplay update. I do like that out of nowhere on the 26th, it is a like bug fix for leaderboards that weren't supported because their servers weren't up anymore, is my assumption. But
Probably they probably went away with some old Xbox Live thing or something. Who knows?
well, I mean, other people will know. I came to this game very late. It was probably 2012 that I picked it up, and by
Mhm.
then there was a Mac port because that's how I played with my friends. I got them to play video games with me because they all had Macs, and I said, "Here is one game that plays on both."
We loved the hell out of Castle Crashers when it originally came out. Like I remember buying it in like the week it came out. It was like one of the first Xbox arcade games I think I ever bought. My friend Brendan and I played the absolute hell out of it whenever he came over. I had other friends that I was like with from the Boy Scouts and shit who like they would come over with their memory card with their Xbox profile on it, plug it in, and we would play the hell out of the game. I've played hundreds of hours just on my 360 alone in this game. I loved it when it first came out.
Yeah, but see, you had friends.
I did. I had
Also
friends.
consoles.
Yeah. We were all Xbox 360 boys for the most part. So like we'd go to my other friend's house, Spud or whatever. We would go to his place. and me and his brother and him, we would all play the heck out of Castle Crashers, and like the absolute mayhem that was the fights for the princess at the end of like whatever the levels where you could fight each other were so much fun. Like,
I
I
think
just
you can fight each other at the end of every arena.
maybe so. I don't remember if it was every single one or not. I just remember like
I
whenever
mean,
there was
it's
like
at
a
least like
princess to
5
be
times, and I
saved.
don't remember there being that many levels.
There's a lot of levels. There's a lot in that game.
I mean, it was very Mario, where it's like 1, 2, 3 boss, 1, 2, 3 boss, 1, 2, 3 boss.
Yeah.
But no, I guess there probably isn't a princess for Shit Bear.
Yeah, there was
Shit
only
Bear?
like five,
Shit Bear.
4 or 5.
Shit Bear.
Shit
No, Shit
bear.
Deer. Giant Bear. Different things. Bear, not shit. Other things, shit.
Oh my gosh. But I remember loving that. So I'm like excited to see that they're still updating this. I don't know. It's nice to see that Behemoth is still doing things. Is I think the bigger takeaway to me is like I keep feeling like they're not
They,
doing a lot,
they never
but
stop. You won't play the games with me.
I don't like the
Alien
puzzle game.
Hominid Invasion came out like 2 years ago. Multiplayer Alien Hominid. Crazy jumpy alien boys drawn just like this, shooting ray guns.
But it
Come
not
on.
Castle Crasher. But why win Castle Crasher?
See, now you're sounding like a Star Wars or a Marvel fan. I just need the same thing over and over again, or I'll never be happy.
I just
They
want
also
like
had the weird
a
like
sequel.
they
I
had
would
an
love a
auto chess
sequel.
game that was pretty good, and the pyramid head game that I'm blanking on the name of now. With all the cats.
Oh yeah, there was
Battle
like
Block
the
Theater.
Battle Block
I love
Theater.
Battle Block
Yeah,
Theater.
that was not one for me. I did not land. Surprise,
I got
surprise!
so
The
much
puzzle
free money
game
out of that one.
didn't do well with me.
It was very light on puzzle elements. Mostly it was platforming combat that you would then get a bunch of heads, and instead of keeping any of the heads, I sold them all on Steam, and people would buy them for money.
What? Okay. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
like
the
like a
object in the
hat.
game, the
Yeah,
little
like the hat.
bobblehead that you
Yeah,
got.
yeah,
You get like a new
yeah.
triangle head, and I'd go, I don't want the triangle, and somebody would give me 50 cents, and I said, worthwhile.
Worth every penny of our free time that was put into it. Yeah, I mean, I guess.
But yeah,
I
I mean,
I think it's just I
I've
wanted another beat 'em up is the thing. I wanted like another Castle Crashers more than anything, and like good on them for coming up with new stuff. But I was like, I just want more.
I
I
mean,
want
they
another version of this, more bosses
Battle
or
Block
something.
Theater is pretty much a beat 'em up. I mean, like, I know that you're trying to describe it
It's
as
like a
something, but
puzzle
like,
platformer.
there are platforming elements. It's the only difference between the two games. It's instanced levels that you go level to level to level, and there are enemies that you beat up. It is a 2D action platformer instead of a 2D side scroller, but the game
Yeah,
elements are very similar. All they did was add ladders.
feels like a little bit of a
We should
stretch to
revisit
me.
it. We should revisit it. I think you have it painted in a different light than you remember it. But so there's a bunch of other things that they announced, and that maybe is something interesting. One is a whole bunch new rendering and frame rate changes to
Uh-huh.
make it so that the resolution's better for Battle Block, and Alien Hominids hitting PlayStation, and they updated Pit People, which is an awesome game that nobody played. And they announced a brand new game. And
Yeah, the new game. What?
they
What's the new game?
clarify it, they announced that they're making a new game, right? Like, that's about as far as it got. They're like, we're prototyping and we're going to announce it soon, but we
Okay.
are announcing that we've announced a game, which is still kind of a big deal for them. Like, but yeah, if you never played Pit People, I don't know. I don't know that it'd be up your alley. It's definitely not a beat 'em up. That is the game that is not close to a beat 'em up. It is 100% like somewhere between like Fire Emblem auto chess and like
Yeah, it's giving me like Catan like vibes just from looking at like little tiles, I
there's
guess.
textiles. Pathfinder has hex tiles. Come on.
It looks very Catan just from the quick look at it I'm taking.
For Warhammer, because there's literally like it's a turn-based fighting game. What are you talking about, Catan?
No,
Catan is,
most of them
I
are
need
like
bread for my
squares.
children. Let me pull a card.
Yeah, most of those are like squares. It's like specifically like Civilization and Catan that do like the hexagons.
I'm not gonna win this one with you, but I am just so far against this description. Mostly
looks
because
like
Catan is
Catan.
the worst thing that's ever been made.
I don't love Catan. I'm just saying it looks like Catan. Like board wise.
One of these days I'll get you to play Alien Hominid with me. It's only 20 for the multiplayer one. It's only 24 for you to own both. And also, is it letting me do the thing? Yes. Look at the men in black. They beating up the aliens.
I do just love their art style. Like their art style and comedy very much. Maybe I just never matured past being a 12-year-old boy as far as comedy is concerned, but like it still lands for me.
Okay, but let me speak this into the reality. Like this and the Overlord in the game was multiplayer. Game that I've never been able to play, but old friends that have been in a waste as you invade Earth alongside a mothership full of alien friends. Blast, beam, and bite your way through an endless swarm of enemies as you and up to 3 hominids cause mayhem with a huge arsenal of weapons, mutations, and acrobatics. Come on, it's like multiplayer Beautiful Joe. Come on.
Wait. Back to the Overlord.
Yeah,
which one's the Overlord one? Is it Overlord 2 isn't the one you're talking about, right?
It was the next one.
I forgot that they made a third one.
There is a game called Overlord Raising Hell that is a 4-player Overlord game.
That's right.
So
I loved
you're
Overlord
each a
1
different
and 2.
entity of evil. And each of you are controlling different did I say Raising Hell? Raising Hell is a DLC. Brotherhood
Fellowship of Evil.
Maybe Fellowship of Evil. There you go. And I mean, don't look too close at the reviews, but I would bet for $10 it's worth trying. It's made by Codemasters.
Like
and if you know anything about
I mean, yeah, they made the other
ones. If you know
ones.
anything about Codemasters. Well, but do you know what other games Codemasters has made?
They made some bad racing game that I played a long time ago. Like Fuel
They
or
made
something.
a very good series of racing games called Grid.
Yeah, that's not the one I'm talking about.
Series.
Yeah, the one I'm talking about is like Fuel or some shit.
They made Project Cars and WRC. Yeah, they make a lot of racing games. That is not at all where I was going. Yeah, it turns out they actually do make good games. I was being sarcastic. I was going to introduce you into all of the games that I played from Codemasters as a kid, because the one thing I will say about Codemasters is just about everything they made had a PC port.
Uh-huh.
And for somebody that did not have a console, PC ports are important. For example, did you know that Codemasters made the American Idol video games? Follow-up, did you know that there were American Idol video games?
Were they just like shitty Rock Band knockoffs? Like, what the hell is this?
Okay, I want you to guess, and then I'll tell you. So if you were going to make a game where the entire premise is you're singing, what does this game look like?
I'm going to say it's Just Dance, but there's singing in it.
Would it help if I told you that it was from when American Idol was popular? Which limits some of your consoles and equipment.
Was it a Kinect game? I don't know.
No, well before that.
I couldn't tell you.
Kinect was like probably around the time Castle Crashers was around. This is
I'm imagining it being
this is like 04, I think, would probably be. Hold on, we're gonna Control F this shit on there. Oh, I already found it. 2003. 2003. There was a Windows, PlayStation 2, and Game Boy Advance game.
Oh god.
So I have no idea what it would sound like on Game Boy. Could you imagine Game? Well, yes. Obviously. That's the only thing we can do with music. All the way back to Parappa the Rapper. And if you've never played Parappa the Rapper,
I've actually never played that game. My experience with Parappa the Rapper, I think, begins and ends with WarioWare? Is that character in Wario?
I mean, I'm sure he's also in some of the Smash Brothers games.
Yeah, it's like a side character or something. I don't know.
But Parappa the Rapper is great.
Hmm.
Stupid little dog rhythm game. Rap, 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 rap.
Pa Rappa, Do
Anyway,
Rappa.
so at least on PC, I have no idea what this thing looked like on PS2 or Game Boy.
Uh-huh.
So, full disclosure. But first of all, you have to create your character. It had a full-fledged character creation that I think was cribbing off of SSX, like 3's engine. Just real generic, ugly looking people. I don't know if your Google's up, but you should look up some footage from this game. Second of all, the only game mechanics were if you started fucking up, then your singer would also fuck up. And so I know all the words to like some Whitney Houston songs and Eagle Eye Cherry songs that I never would know otherwise, except for the fact that I had a rhythm game that was sort of like Guitar Hero Rock Band. But the gameplay, my friend, is just like how DDR was on the PC, which is you have your arrow keys and you have to hit them in order and hold them for sustained notes. And I shit you not, I played the hell out of this game. And I really will. Like, this is probably going to work into music time. I will make you listen to somebody performing a song and fucking up because it is one of the funniest things in the world to me. I'll have to pick a song that you know. But, like, I think they had, what's the, Like a Virgin is one of the songs, right? You know Like a Virgin, right?
Yeah,
I
sure.
made it through the wilderness. I made it through. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Never knew how lost I was till I found you. Right? I mean, general tone. About right. Okay. You screw up, you're hitting the wrong keys. You're typing tippity tap, tap, tip, tap, 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 and you hit the right arrow key instead of the left, or you miss the left arrow key when it's supposed to happen. And it's, I made it through the wilderness. And it's just like if you had a like volume slider, or not a volume slider, a pitch corrector, like the wheel on the end of a keyboard,
Uh-huh.
it's that to the vocal track, and it's amazing.
Oh my god.
Like instead of in Guitar Hero where you just stop or it starts making plinkety plonk noises, like imagine if in Guitar Hero, you know, you're playing Carry On My Wayward Son, and instead of okay, now instead of when you miss a note, it goes clunk and quiet. You go it would be so amazing. Like, it's very forward thinking for a 2003 game.
I don't like that.
It's okay. Like, you don't ever have to play it. I'm not going to like request that of you, but you do have to see what I'm describing so that you can be entertained by it. It is very funny. And 7-year-old me, whoo, loved this shit. I say 7. In 04, how old would I have been? 10. They got Dance Factory, which was a knockoff DDR. They've got Colin McRae Dirt, which is the first Dirt title. And then you end up with Overlord. And Rafael Nadal Tennis on the DS. Hell yeah, that's why you know Codemasters, is they made every DS game that didn't have any following but had a big title.
I genuinely, the only game I ever knew from them was the Overlord series, and there was some off-road racing game that they did. Oh gosh, what was the name of it?
I mean, Dirt and Grit are both probably pretty high on
It's
there.
not Dirt. It's like specifically something else.
The Lord of the Rings Online. Surely you know The Lord of the Rings Online.
I do know that.
Lotro. How about Overlord Minions, the Lemmings clone
It
for the
was called
Nintendo
Fuel. It
DS?
was just called Fuel 2009. That was the game. Its whole thing was supposed to be like apocalyptic style, like weather and shit was going to happen randomly. But it was mostly just, it was an off road game where there was a lot of, like, it was open world, which was kind of new at the time for like a game like this. There wasn't many open world, like racing, driving games. But like, if you hit a tree, like a small little bush or something, your car would collide with it and not, there wasn't destructible environment. So like you would just get hung up on like a fence post at 100 miles an hour and just get stopped dead. It was like, okay.
Well, so since 2015, when Overlord Fellowship of Evil released, they have only made racing games.
Hmm.
Actually, several years before that as well, but I'm not going to get into that. Now, would you like to guess how many racing games?
20.
Less, 16. But
Darn.
also remember, it's been less than 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, they put out a lot. I mean, they're sequels to each
Um,
other or whatever, but
Follow up. How many of those do you think are original IP?
oh, I bet there's 4 original IPs amongst all 16 of them.
Uh, I would go with 2 because I will give Grid credit, even though it is basically just the new dirt. And then the other is Micro Machines World Series.
Huh.
Remember Micro Machines?
I do remember Micro
They were
Machines.
dope. Way better than Hot Wheels.
Well, I just specifically remember there being like a racing game that was like Micro Machines way back in the day, like on the N64 or something. That was like they were like little toy cars instead of like
I played a lot of Hot Wheels games as a kid, and played a lot of Lego Racer. Lego Racer was dope. You could build your own cart for a kart racer. Fix both of the sides of my brain at once.
yeah, there was like ones that were like a top down sort of there's a new one from Codemasters. Yeah, that's a game that like came out kind of recently from them, I guess. When did this come out? Oh, it's $7 right now, but it's on the Xbox One. But
Yeah,
it's like
tell
an
me what the
updated.
game is.
It's just called Micro Machines World Series. It's
Yeah, that's the game that
yeah,
that's
I
what prompted
know
this.
that's what I was looking at it now, but it's an update of like an old school like 2002 or something Micro Machines game. They've been making them since 91. And it was like a
It debuted at
top-down
number
racing
2 in
game.
the UK for all video games on the charts when it came out. And in terms of reviews, nobody scored them higher than 60%, and the average is 4.5.
Yeah, doing them numbers, boy. I tell you what.
I mean, in fairness, this is a game that they probably invested.
I feel like 2 devs made this on a weekend for fun
Well, I was going to say,
as
I'm
like a
sure they
passion
invested
project.
a couple 100,000 and they made that back.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure they absolutely did.
Now, do we need to talk about Parappa or is this for another day? Because
You want to talk about Power App? We could talk about Power App. I do have one more like fun tidbit. I don't know if you do about the Overlord games. That was surprising to me. Do you know who wrote those games? Like the narrative and stuff behind them, like the lead writer? Because it was surprising to me when I figured this out.
is it Terry Pratchett's kid?
It's Terry Pratchett's daughter, whose name escapes me right now, but she wrote all of them,
I
which was
hate that I pulled
fascinating.
that.
I know it made sense as soon as I found that out, but I was like,
because
okay.
I started saying Pratchett, and then Pratchett is better than that. But it
Right.
did still feel Pratchett.
It did, didn't it?
Hold on. What is... Because I like Terry's daughter well enough. I just don't know that I like any of her writing.
She also did like the Tomb Raider games or something. That was like another thing that she did. But
She does a lot of
Rihanna Pratchett's her name.
Rihanna. But does like, hold on. Well,
Huh.
like she's been handling the estate a lot, and so that's where I feel pretty
Yeah.
pretty middle of the road there. Why on earth am I not able to click on? There we go. There's the daughter's name.
She was a writer on BioShock Infinite. Did not know that. Interesting.
Yeah, one of the few highlights of that career.
Hmm.
I understand the people you were around at the time, and the fact that they would have made anything BioShock related insufferable. But it is by far the best of the 3 games for me.
False. Number 1 is the best, obviously, but
Oh yeah, you want
yeah.
to tell me how that game ends?
I don't remember what happens after you beat what's his name, Ryan to death with the golf club, and like the big twist happens.
I mean, the biggest twist is that you get to fight a giant blob monster because we needed boss battle. It's real dog shit. The game ends very well, and then there's another 40 minutes of game.
Yeah, I think they probably should have probably cut it loose at the after they're like, "You've been mind controlled this entire time." Bum bum bum. You've never had an original reason in your life for doing anything.
Again, it's a good twist. I don't know that anything outside of that is particularly good writing outside of the like deranged plastic surgeon. Spoilers for a
A
20-year-old game.
20-year-old game.
It's only 18.
I was on board with that game. Like I bought that was like one of the second collector's editions I think they really started doing. Like I have a resin statue of like a Big Daddy. That thing weighs like 5 pounds. That came with it. That thing's awesome. I was on board. I was super hyped for that game
It's
when it came
another
out.
one. It's another one that like I think you and I have a unique issue where you are both plugged into the youth culture more than I am, but also we're plugged into our culture, like our current culture, our
Hmm.
generation's culture more than I was, because I just didn't have access to it. Because I probably played Bioshock, like I played all three in a row. I There
Okay.
may have been a 6 to 8 month period between me
I
playing
had
Bioshock 2
I
for the
had the
first time
benefit of
and playing
years in
Infinite.
between. Yeah. I was playing them as they came out.
But like functionally, even with the remaster, Infinite has the tightest gameplay. I
Yeah, by
challenge you to
like
go back and play the
removing the
original Bioshock.
options for like removing
Oh,
any sort of freedom you have besides you have two weapons. Congratulations.
I am partial to limited inventory space. I think it's very dumb when you have 16 weapons on you at all
I
times.
liked having options. I liked the first one better for
I
that.
mean, you still have options. At any given time, you likely have a minimum of 4 and a maximum of, oh, I don't know, 16, 17 different ways that you can approach a situation.
Now, BioShock Infinite is by far the weakest of that series.
Not true. 2 is
Absolutely.
by far. I will give you the argument for 1. 2 is awful.
2 is better than
2 is
3.
dog shit.
Uh, I don't like 2 better than 1, but I still like it better than Infinite.
Like borderline unplayable game is 2 because it has all the clunkiness of 1 and none of the redeeming qualities of story that either 1 or Infinite have. It's so bad.
I liked the story of 2. I thought it was fascinating. It was a nice way to like still kind of have an interesting thing go
Hey,
on, a little
wander
bit of a
around the same
twist.
map and don't have any additions to the story other than what if you Big Daddy Mark 1
Well,
and
it
have to think about
explored
your mortal soul.
one of the more interesting things of the universe, which was what the hell are those things? Like they were the most unique part of the original game that everyone at the time when they came out were like, what the hell is a Big Daddy? What is that thing? It's cool.
I
It's unique.
I
What
guess
is it?
maybe this is like how certain Warhammer fans get locked into Space Marines, and I don't understand the appeal at all. I think they're the most boring thing in the world. Super lame, in fact. Their design is super lame.
Big Daddies are so
And you're
cool.
sitting here talking about, yeah, you've got this Mariner suit that, like, yeah, he's a kind of good
Yeah.
boogeyman. They were a hard ass fight to beat, but like, I didn't need any of that lore. I was fascinated by this decadent, sprawling society that had collapsed. I didn't give a shit
They
about this
were
Mariner that's
they were
crawling around in the depths
terrifying.
afterward.
They were like the
Right.
equivalent of like Pyramid Head in that, or like Mr. X or something. It's like, where the fuck is he? Is
Yeah.
he gonna just
Yeah.
pile drive
No,
me out of
no, 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 no,
nowhere?
no. We're agreeing on that point. Do you want the prequel series for Pyramid Head?
I don't know.
Why he's so sad and got a pyramid head? Actually, you haven't played Silent Hill. Never mind. Okay, Resident Evil. We'll shift over. Why do we need the backstory for Jason? Do I need to know his tragic downfall, or do I need to see him tearing people in half?
I I just thought it was a fun game. I wanted to play as one of them was the big thing, and they delivered on that promise in BioShock 2. That's what was the best part was you spent a lot of a game looking at them and being like, this character is interesting. I like him. I really want to be that guy over there because that thing's fucking cool.
Yeah, I guess I don't share that bug. Like when I see Monster, I don't want to be Monster. I want to kill Monster.
See, I want to play as the
I'm gonna
monster.
figure out a way to beat it. and I'm gonna be a sneaky little human until I can snap its neck.
I wanted to be the monster. That was well, there wasn't like a lot of games that had stuff like that where you could be the bad guy or like the quote unquote bad guy or monsters or something like that.
Hey,
Like,
there were like 15 that year. That is peak Prototype, Infamous,
yeah, that was when
Overlord.
they started doing
We were
that.
just
Until
talking
then,
about
yeah,
Overlord.
until then they hadn't really done a lot of that.
You had the League of Super Villain or League of Super City of Villains, City of Villains, the sequel to City of Heroes. You had um, Dungeon slash
It was just a
Dungeons,
very specific vibe that hit for me. Like, I like the outfits. I thought they were cool.
all of the games.
I think they're one of the more like iconic villains that have ever been in a video game. I love the Big Daddies. It was cool. It was great that we got to play them.
Strap the drill to a deep sea diver.
It
Congratulations.
was cool.
Uh, well, all I gotta say is I gotta believe, and we're not gonna talk about Parappa the Rapper. That'll be another day.
You don't
I
want to
can.
go into this deep dive on Pa Rappa the Rapper?
Did I eat my drink? I thought my milk was pink. It's so good. It's so good. Do we have a way? Hold on. In the year of our Lord 2024, where can I play? How to play a rap?
Emulators.
Shh. Legally. Is there a was there a re-release for your PS5 or something? How to actually play Parappa the Rapper? Oh,
There's
this is
gotta
just
be.
a guy that doesn't know how to play the game. He doesn't know how to play the game. I mean, in fairness, there are no in-game tutorials. You have to read the manual.
There's got to be like a remaster or something in the year of every video game that has ever been mildly popular has been remastered in some form and is available on modern
So the
consoles.
answer is there was a remaster for PS4,
Hey,
but
you can play
only
that
for
on
the
my
first one, it
PS5.
would appear.
Fascinating. Fascinating stuff.
Did you know that with the DualShock 4 controller, DualShock 4?
Yeah,
Yeah,
nah, it's 5 or
DualSense is
6.
the new one.
6 cents or whatever.
Now, the 6-axis was the PS3 controller. It was a DualShock 3 6-axis controller.
Whatever.
Oh, buddy. So the DualShock was originally introduced for the PS2, which
Uh-huh.
will confuse your brain some, because that was the first time that they added 2 thumbsticks to a controller
Yeah,
because there were
dual
no
shock.
thumbsticks on your PS1, and it had force feedback. Anyway, what they were going to tell you is that this remake of this PS1 game, they added DualShock 4 vibration so that you can feel the beat, and the player icon grows every time that you hit it so that you can see the beat. Because in the original game, it was a rhythm game that didn't give you confirmation when you hit a note.
It was
It's
just like,
it's a whole thing. I genuinely have a lot of love for this game. It is the most incomprehensible shit to a Western audience. They're like, why is this dog rapping at me? How come he keeps getting angry at me?
isn't there like a robot friend or something? Doesn't he have like a little robot or some shit?
There are many things that are related to Parappa the Rapper. So we're gonna show you a American Idol video followed by Parappa the Rapper trying to figure out how the controls work.
Oh my.
And you know what? If you do really well, you get a cool rating.
A cool rating.
I think you can also become hero, but most of the time you become sad.
You become sad.
I mean, there are so many rough ratings for this game.
I've never played a single one. I've very loosely am aware of the character existing, and I think it's just because he's been in a few of the Wario games somehow.
Okay, the easiest way to explain it is remember 90s and early 2000s Japanese culture,
Uh-huh.
side of anime,
Uh-huh.
and now realize that most of it was emulation of things that were happening elsewhere in the world,
Uh-huh.
and now view it from a lens of 90s hip hop, and you're there. Like,
Huh.
take the corniest Western rap you can think of, like DJ Jazzy Jeff, right?
Yeah.
Now make it a dog and Japanese. You're most of the way there.
Pa Rappa, so kawaii.
He's also a dork. He's a loser. He must become hero by rapping.
He does look like a little dork in his little baggy pants and his weird fucking beanie or whatever. Little Tim Pool looking ass dog.
He has a way cooler beanie than Tim Pool.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry, Parappa. I insulted you too much.
But yeah, it's interesting. Like you actually have to pick some of the like phrasing that's used with
Huh.
it's a
Okay.
very novel game. It is not probably as novel as a modern game, but also it's PSX, right? So this is probably like a 1996, 1998 title. Like it's old as hell.
That is
Anyway,
yeah, I was a whole like 2 years old.
yeah, depending on the year.
Yeah.
Hold on, let's ah on the internet. I've got two phrases for you. One is among the best Parappa quotes. I hate being stiff.
I hate being stiff.
And when I say boom, 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 you say bam, bam, bam.
Boom,
No
boom,
pause in
boom.
between. Come on, let's jam.
Come on, let's jam.
But with a pause, there is a pause in between. It makes me giggle.
Is this like
When did?
English voiced or something? Or is it just
Oh
like
yeah, oh yeah. The English release, absolutely.
there's like dubbing
And
for this?
several of the titles were not released in the U.S. because they didn't do localization. But yeah, Japan in '96, worldwide in '97. I guessed very well.
You're right on top of
Uh,
it this time.
uh, I'm trying to see
Harmonizing.
when it comes to release. Um, so the game sold, as of 2003, the game sold 1.47 million copies in Japan. You want to know how many copies it sold worldwide?
1.5.
1.6 something, but still, it's very funny to me.
They're all in Japan, and then there's like, yo, we kind of sold some copies outside of Japan, I guess.
Did you know that he won Best Mascot, beating out both Laura Croft and Crash Bandicoot?
There's he beat out Crash Bandicoot. Okay, come on,
Hell yeah.
no way, no shot.
At the inaugural Interactive Achievement Awards in 1998.
Fascinating.
Man, so good. Just remember, without Parappa the Rapper, he never would have ended up with all of Harmonix's games.
I was gonna
Or
say he
Just
probably would
Dance,
have never
or
had Guitar
Codemasters
Hero or
American
anything.
Idol.
Paul Rappa rapped so that we could run.
What?
But there's
I don't
also
remember what your other topic was.
oh, I had a few other things. Oh gosh, what are we talking about? Fucking RDJ is back as Doctor Doom in the new Marvel movies. That's was such a like. I saw that I was like, "You're joking with me, right?" Like I saw this announcement and I was like, "Are they? They're punking me, right? Like this is a joke in an alternate universe, right?" No, he's the main. Okay,
Yeah. I'm working on getting my reaction up real quick. But
it's all good. I can vamp for a little bit more.
I mean, it is absolutely 110% indicative of everything wrong with Marvel. And like,
Yeah. Oh, I
I'm not going to
know.
grandstand here. I am sure that there are going to be people that are going to like this Wolverine movie. I'm not going to judge you for it.
I've seen
Fine.
nothing but like people loving the new Wolverine Deadpool movie. I haven't gotten the chance to see it yet, but I want to. I
Yeah.
probably will.
But did they like Endgame? Did they like Black Panther? Well, actually, Black Panther's a pretty
I
reasonably
liked
good movie. Now that I said that out loud,
which one was it Infinity War or Endgame that came first? Because there was two parts, and I can't remember which one came first.
couldn't tell you. They're the same movie.
The first one I liked. The second part of it, I was like, this is some dog shit. But part one, I enjoyed a lot. But I don't know. That after that, I feel
My
like they've
point
constantly
is,
been chasing. Anyway, go ahead.
oh, it's it's absolutely creatively bankrupt. Like,
It totally
hey,
is.
we're like here's my hope, beyond hope. They do something interesting with the character so that rather than being the Victor Von Doom that you're so familiar with,
Please be
which
Iron
I
Doom
guess,
or something, because there is like versions of him that are like Iron Man is Doctor Doom. You
well,
know?
see, my perspective is what happened in Ultron, sorry, Avengers 2 Ultron,
Yeah.
whatever the fuck
Yeah.
the name of that movie is.
Yeah.
Um, right? So where are they though?
Yeah. They're
Latveria, right?
yeah.
So
That's the
they're
whole
in
thing.
Doom's backyard. You got Doom's kids there, except they're not Doom's kids, and they're not mutants. Very important to note that they're not mutants. Um,
I think it's Barovia. They are like right next to Latveria or something.
Whatever.
Anyway, yeah, I know.
Eastern
I'm
Europe.
just saying they are very much in Doom's backyard
My
with
point being,
Ultron.
they dropped
Yes,
a
yes, yes,
fucking
yes,
country out of the sky.
yes, yes.
And as part of that, there could be some Ultron tech, and maybe it survives and lives on. And Ultron is what becomes Doom. Ultron already had Tony Stark's voice,
Uh huh.
kind of. I can go with that. Make it so that Robert Downey Jr. returns as a villain through the lens of Ultron, knee Doom.
See,
I
I
can
could get
deal with
behind
that.
that. I could
That is
get
very
behind
comics.
that. I like
Is
the
there a
idea.
chance in hell that's what
No,
they did?
no shot. No shot at all. But I could get behind the idea of like the guy who was previously the hero now being the villain of like the stuff in a different light. Like that's
Well,
awesome.
but again, and he's not, because it's not
Yes.
him,
It's not him, but it
right?
is like wearing his skin and voice or whatever. I can
And
get
let
that
him,
though.
yeah, let him play through it, because like clearly there's the ability to make whatever made Vision. I'm sure they explained that at some point.
Yeah, whatever. The stupid
But
stone or whatever that made him.
well, but what I'm saying is like you can have the synthetic skin and have it look like Robert Downey Jr. under the mask when it needs to be, or fucked up Robert Downey Jr. like somebody's wearing a Robert Downey Jr. mask when it needs to be, and the rest of the time he looks like a Doombot, because most of the time what you're gonna see is a Doombot.
But yeah, just go see him
Ooh.
ask. I was like, is he even gonna be in there? Is it just gonna be him like 90% of the time in a VO booth, just being like, all right, peace,
Well,
thanks
yeah,
for
I mean
all the
that's
money in the
already what it's
world.
been.
Bye.
90% of those movies are
Oh
filmed
yeah.
from a recording
Oh
studio
yeah.
because they don't want to be on set. They have somebody film the back of their head. They only film things where their face is on screen.
Yep.
I would be curious, so this is me talking through it. With as lazy as the reveal was,
It was
do
like
you think they stick to it? Do you think there's a chance this is a real thing, or do you think there's also a chance that
100%.
they do them? You don't think there's any chance in the world that it's an Iron Man thing?
No, I don't think so. I think
Like,
there's
I'm just saying, do you remember when they announced and they were like, Ben Kingsley, famous for playing multiple stars in the golden age, well, silver age of Hollywood, and doing things like Ming the Merciless and everything else, he's gonna be
the Mandarin,
the Mandarin.
but not
And then
really.
they faked everybody out by not using any of his talent to tell a much shittier story.
I
Do
think
you
that's
think that might be it?
I don't give them that much credit, man. I don't think so. I think it's just a pure by the numbers Disney being like Iron Man done good. Bring Iron Man back. Make
I
Avengers good again.
This is sure, but this is how cynical I could be, because they already did that, right? That's what this Deadpool movie is. They didn't make
Yeah.
a Deadpool movie. They made a Disney nostalgia trip to wring every last drop of nostalgia out of you for the
Uh-huh.
other movies.
Uh-huh.
I'm being very down on it for having not seen this movie, so I'll refrain some. I just the back of my mind is screaming that this is going to be a shit show. But I wouldn't run it by them. As cynical as Disney is, I could easily see them having Robert Downey Jr. playing Robert Downey Jr. as some fucking scene character or bit character as a distraction, and have him be this big postured up character and be like, you forgot we did this in another movie that Robert Downey Jr. was in, right?
Mm. But
Not
I
that long
feel
ago.
like
Remember? It was really bad.
I just feel like they wouldn't do that, or Robert Downey Jr. himself wouldn't want to do that. Like he has enough of an ego that he wouldn't just want to be
He,
like a bit
he doesn't give a
character again.
shit. Are you kidding?
Or he just takes
Here's
all the money and
here's
goes, ha ha ha, okay, thanks for the
Yes.
money.
No, here's where the ego goes out the door when they say, "Here is $200 billion."
Here is enough money to own your own country. Come be
You
a comic
already
book
were able to
character.
retire twice. Twice. over again, you could make as many movies as you want and never work another day in your life on anything that wasn't a passion project.
Uh-huh.
After like the third Iron Man, and you made 4 more movies.
I
Here's another
just
dump truck full of movie. Here's what really happened. Like, behind the scenes, these actors fucking hate working on these movies. And
Oh,
like,
I
not
know.
that Robert Downey Jr.'s been doing anything in the meantime. Like, he made a really
He was in
interesting show on
Oppenheimer.
HBO.
That was
Oh yeah, he probably was,
he
wasn't he?
was one of the main leads in Oppenheimer.
Who the fuck did he play in Oppenheimer?
He was like the opposition and like the government or whatever who was like trying to frame him as like a socialist and get him like
Yeah, I'm
discredited or
telling on
something.
myself because I'm really bored with Christopher Nolan these days, so I did
I
not
don't
watch that
love
movie.
I don't lo- I wanted to watch a movie, so I went and saw it. I did it for the meme. I saw Barbie and then I went and saw Oppenheimer.
Barbenheimer.
The Barbie movie was way more fun. I had a lot more fun at the Barbie movie, but anyway.
Also a movie I haven't seen, but it's on my list. Oppenheimer is not. Oppenheimer is firmly in the category of I don't need to see a bunch of boring white people talk.
It's so
Yeah, so The Sympathizer is what I was referring to, which is a Max series. Oppenheimer, he did Doolittle, can't forget Doolittle, and before that he's Iron Man.
he is
So
a
yeah, and
dog
done
in
shit.
Doolittle, yeah. Oh no, he
He's
is
a dog in
no, I'm
Doolittle?
sorry. He is just Dr. Doolittle. They did a Doolittle redo.
Yeah, he's upcoming. We've got 2 Avengers movies.
Yep.
Evidently did you know there's another Sherlock Holmes movie coming? Because it's
What?
in production.
I
Guy
feel like
Ritchie,
that's been in
Sherlock
development
Holmes.
hell for like 20 years or something. Come on. There's no way. Not 20,
Not
but like
that old. The
like
sequel
5.
was from like 10 years ago.
Okay, it's been in like development hell probably for at least 6 or 7 years, I feel like.
It's okay. He just gets to do his old man Logan, but he's old man Sherlock.
Man, I just
See, what you forget is that the entirety of BBC's Sherlock came out between these 2 movies.
Yep. I just think it's just
And
so
also the Will Ferrell Sherlock Holmes movie. You remember the Will Ferrell
Yep.
Sherlock Holmes
Yep.
movie?
Oh, the Holmes
Did we
and
see that
Watson?
together?
No, I didn't. I
Okay.
thought I don't like Will Ferrell's movies in the first place, and then everyone was like, "This movie is dog shit."
Oh,
And it
I
came
saw
out
the
like on
trailer, knew it
Christmas
was
Day
going
or
to be
something.
terrible, and went to see it. I was prepped and ready to go. I thought it was going to be a absolute train wreck, and let me tell you, it was. But Lauren Lapkus is a delight in that movie.
John C.
She's
Riley should not have been in that movie. I love John C. Riley. Shame that movie exists.
I just so her character though. I mean, I don't remember if it was in the trailer at all, but she like becomes the love interest of one of the 2 of them. I don't remember because they were dressed the same. Because one was Holmes, one was Watson, and both are basically the same height, basically the same age, basically the same hairstyle. But oh, that was the other thing about it. It was Ethan Cohen, who occasionally makes fun stuff. He technically is responsible for Idiocracy and Tropic Thunder.
Huh.
And then he's also made Holmes and Watson, Get Hard, and My Wife is Retarded. I'm not even going to click on any of that shit.
Yeah, okay.
But
anyway,
Get
what
Hard
were we?
was the one where he goes to jail. Oh, I was just going to say, she like plays a woman who's clearly like got some issues. Her name's Millicent. And she like, I don't remember if she thinks she's a lizard or a cat or something, but the whole movie, she's just embodying an animal, a wild animal. And the one of Will Ferrell or John C. Riley is just infatuated with her. And it's a very fun little sketch within this movie. And she chews the scenery every scene she's in. She's great. She's a sketch comedian. You would enjoy those portions of the movie.
Maybe so.
I don't know that you would enjoy anything else. I can't remember anything else from it other than that. Like Ralph Fiennes is in it.
Huh. Or where I was gonna go is like we're getting like an Avengers 5 and 6, and my question is like I can't even think of who the current Avengers are. Like who is
Sure you can.
Spider-Man, Doctor Strange,
You got
Black
the Ant-Man.
Panther.
You got
Did I
the
say
Wasp.
Did I say Captain Falcon America?
You get the Hulk?
Do we have the Hulk though?
Yeah. I
I
don't think
haven't.
Mark Ruffalo will be in another movie, but he's still around. He didn't get killed off.
I guess I'm just trying to like think of
And
this
they've only
thing.
recast him 3 times in all canonical.
Yeah,
All of the movies are canon,
I can't believe that.
including the Eric Bana Hulk, which is my favorite Hulk.
I just at the end of the day, my whole thing with this is I love that they're doing this because they had such a like they had to just scrap the whole Kang the Conqueror plot line because Jonathan Majors was a piece of shit or something. It's so funny to me. But like there's just so many people like for years I love Doctor Doom in the comic books and like in some of like the various animated projects that I've seen him in. I'm like I've wanted to see who they would cast and have like a not cheesy one for so long. I was like Marvel could finally do a
There
good Doctor
is
Doom
not
and then it's
a
like
version of Doctor Doom that's not cheesy.
I
There are
love him in the
storylines that
comics.
involve Doctor Doom. There is not a Doctor Doom that's not cheesy. You're telling me a guy that vamps around in a metal costume and does a bunch of Phantom of the Opera shit constantly and is just woe is me about the fact that his ex-girlfriend doesn't like him after he gets hit by cosmic space rays that are his fault,
And he's a
and
science wizard. He's a science wizard.
he never addresses it. He never like comes back and says, "Hey, by the way, guys, I'm alive. I'm just a little fucked up from the accident." Instead, he's like, "I am loathsome that these people that were once my friends are now superheroes, and I am not." And you're like, "Okay, so go be a fucking superhero." And he goes, "Mm." It's the whole plotline of every plotline he's involved with. Occasionally, he's an anti-hero, like Loki,
Those are the
which
ones
they've
I
already
like the
done.
most of are like the anti-hero Doctor Doom ones.
We'll just wait around long enough for them to do Inhumans or
I was gonna say it. I'm
Anti-Avengers
sure it'll
or
come around.
yeah, we'll get him. You'll get the Green Goblin as played by James Franco, and you'll get probably the Chameleon. It seems about right.
Or we can get Jake Gyllenhaal back as Mysterio.
I mean, in fairness, he was a very good Mysterio that
He was
they
fine.
just decided wasn't Mysterio.
Yeah, I know. That was kind of a bummer on that one.
The character was fun. They just never let him do anything.
I thought it was so funny that they were like, he's from a multiverse, and then it's like, actually, he's not. But then the next movie, they're like, multiverses are real. It's like, okay.
You know what we should watch? Because I think I could probably get a copy of it.
What?
Do you want to watch the Roger Corman Fantastic Four film?
Wait, is this which one is this?
It's the 1994 one that was never released to the public.
Never seen this. Okay.
Yes, but I think I could get a copy put together.
Oh gosh.
Surely that's worthy of a stream.
We could do that. That could be a
Hold
wild,
on.
just shit movie stream.
I just need to show you this picture of Doom real quick.
I think I've seen a picture of like the 1990 Doctor Doom or something.
I mean, it's much better than you think it's going to be. Let's see if I can. Boop, 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 boop.
Yep, I've seen this one. I've seen this one.
Okay, fine. I make all this effort just so that I can show it to you.
Oh,
And you say, no, I'm going to look it up myself.
Broke my setup for the thing.
Oh no. Oh no. Did it show up though? Did you see him? Is he gorgeous?
I can see him. Yeah, yeah.
He's the most comics accurate. And then I'll stop sharing so that it doesn't do the thing.
Is that even? I don't think that's the right one though, is it? I don't think so.
That is absolutely 1994's Roger Corman's Fantastic Four.
Because like the one I see is way cheesier looking than that. But I guess maybe it's because it's zoomed out and not zoomed in like that photo is. Yeah, and like in lighting, he looks good. There's just this one really bad photo of him standing in like a doorway of fire or some shit that looks not great. It makes him look very much like the old school comics, I guess. Just fine.
Well, according to the Google image page, originally Mark Ruffalo auditioned for that role.
I am seeing that as well.
and was turned down, which I believe. I just love the thingy thing. I just love I love the Corman movies.
Yeah.
The
I guess my thing was I just over the years I really wanted to I was pontificating for years on who I would cast as Doctor Doom, and I would have never in a million years been like, let's do RDJ again. Is the thing I wanted to come back to.
It's okay. Counterpoint. It's a lot of money and people will watch it.
I know. Oh, I know. They're gonna watch it. They'll pay it. They'll watch it. The hell out of it. I always thought like you could do like a Killian Murphy or like a, Christoph Waltz or somebody would be interesting. I mean, just ideas of people. What?
The only hero in recent memory or lead in recent memory that I really would pin, like, see, now you've got me thinking Irish with Killian Murphy. Honestly, you know who'd be a good fit?
Who? Who's our
He's an
fan cast?
Irishman. He's an Irishman.
Is it Colin Farrell?
I was thinking the other half of every movie that he's in, which is Brendan Gleeson. But yeah, I mean, Colin Farrell works. The other one that I would say is imagine a 10 years older Anton Yelchin.
Uh-huh.
Think it works.
I'm gonna show
Because Doom's
myself a little
supposed to
bit
be.
of I don't know who the hell that is.
Oh, he's the guy that got crushed by a car. Beep beep jeep. He's a Russian kid. He played the Russian guy in the new Star Trek reboots. He's the lead in.
He's still alive? Nope,
No,
he died. He died in
that's what I'm saying.
2016.
Yes, picture a 10-year older Anton Yelchin.
Okay. Yeah.
By the time this movie was coming out, like that would make sense to me. A little bit more grizzled, but like Doom is supposed to be classically handsome. He's
Yeah.
an attractive man,
Yeah.
both before and after the accident, depending on which comics you're reading.
Mhm.
And the dude could act.
I think that's my favorite one is when it's like he's just a normal dude underneath the mask, or he'll have like a tiny little scar and be like, I am horribly disfigured forever and loathsome to the public. It's
Okay,
like
he's just the Phantom of the Opera. It's a bunch of nerds made their nerd shit about other nerd shit.
A bunch of fucking theater nerds made another fucking
Well,
theater nerd thing.
there are a lot Hush is very much just like a take on the Invisible Man, but not the Hammer horror version.
Uh-huh.
Right? It's just a man that has to keep his face under wraps, and then eventually becomes an emulator of Bruce Wayne.
Uh-huh.
I'm trying. See, now I'm looking. I don't see any Eastern European actors that I'd co-sign,
Mads Mikkelsen?
and I do think they should be.
I think you could do.
No.
I think you could do British. I think British would do well for it. If a lot of the time he has like a British accent, it isn't like European sounding at all.
No.
Who
I think
else?
I like 20 years ago, I want Ivan Drago. This is Doctor Doom.
I don't
God,
know.
like
Yeah,
the problem is every actor looks the same now.
they do. There isn't anyone with like unique faces.
It's because everybody has to be the same appeal unless they are a character actor. And you wouldn't catch a character actor dead doing a fucking stock film like Doctor Doom.
No,
You know what
absolutely
they
not.
will make?
Oh,
No guesses? Dune! Worm movies get the best actors. Worm movies get the best directors. Worm movies, best movies. I'm just so thrilled. The fact that he's all but confirmed, he's like, we're making a third one. I'm like, yes, give me more of this directly injected into my veins. I'm also vaguely curious about what the Max series is going to look like. It is Max, right?
yep,
The Benny Gesserit series.
yep. I only know because I saw
Oh,
an ad for it on Sunday when I was watching Game of Thrones or
oh,
whatever.
it's like soon then.
Uh
Okay.
huh.
Space switches, space switches, space switches. Give me that space switch. I know you're making these faces, but
I
they're the
cannot
two
wait
things that we
for
love the most in
Dune.
our life.
to be in the hindsight of the popular zeitgeist. I am
It
not.
literally created everything you like.
I'm not. I don't.
That's
It
all.
doesn't matter. I don't care. I don't like it. I don't enjoy it. I don't think the movie's very good. It's fine. It's visually fine, I guess. That's about all I got. I don't care for the story at all. It boring. Small
It
brain
is.
mode. It boring.
It is not a Fast and Furious movie. No, it is not.
I'm just saying, like, I'm to give myself a little bit of credit, like, I think I'm above most audiences. And even I'm sitting there being like, this shit is dense. Like, I can't imagine normies watching these fucking things and understanding half of what's happening.
Would you like me to tell you how many normies watch this thing?
Oh, I know a lot of them went and saw it, and their thing was, I didn't understand it, but it looked cool. That was the number one comment I got from a lot of people who saw this movie.
A lot of us saw it multiple times
Uh-huh.
because on a budget of 190 million, you know what the returns on this thing was? The second film in a sequel,
What,
well,
120?
maybe trilogy. 711.8 million
Big spectacle when there's not a lot of other things going on, I
with
guess. I mean,
phenomenal acting and very good visual effects. I I came into this thinking Austin Butler was a joke because Elvis existed. And now I think Austin Butler can act. His portrayal of Fade Routha is not at all what I pictured, right? It is not what's in the books in my brain. Like, Sting makes more sense. He's supposed to be a pretty boy. And instead, he played a full on psychopath and was doing a Stellan Skarsgård impersonation the whole time, to the point where he was doing a better Stellan Skarsgård than Stellan Skarsgård. It was insane. Like, even if you just watch the sequences with Austin Butler playing Fade Routha, like, you can't tell me that he's not acting his fucking mind out. Like, it's bonkers. The little character choices, the reactions that he has to Paul are fucking incredible. They have the final duel scene, and Paul's saying some weird ass desert hippie shit that I'm not gonna spoil, but it's one of the better sequences in the movie. And he looks at him and is just like, and then says the thing back like a "you too." Like, it's just, oh, it's so good. The whole fucking Harkonnen planet is just this weird exploding blood black and white noir fantasy bullshit nonsense. I love it. I love it, and I love Denis Villeneuve. I love this fucking Blade Runner 2049. The they, it's good, good. It's really good, and audiences agree that it's really good. And I don't understand why he ever made Sicario, but other than Sicario, every movie that he's made is really fucking good. And if you haven't seen his movies, let me tell you, you should watch all of them. He starts with a bunch
apparently,
of French.
the only one I've seen is Dune, and I fell asleep like an hour in.
I mean, he also made Prisoners, An Enemy, and Arrival.
Yep, haven't seen any
He's
of those.
very, yeah, you should watch those. And also Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah, that's been on my list for a while.
I definitely own it. I actually probably own all of the movies that I just said. I don't think I own any of his early films, which are French Canadian, and that's why.
Uh-huh.
Both because French, which is not necessarily a deterrent. I'm going to take a bold stance here and say French Canadian is the hardest version of any English or French that you could ever understand. Because when it's in English, it kind of sounds like this when they are speaking to you. And when it's French, I don't know French.
Yeah.
Uh, Victor
Dune.
Von Doom.
Victor
Dune.
Von Dune.
I bite my tongue so often, but I will not bite my tongue at besmirching Dune. I'm not going to go in
It's
depth
okay.
about the world and the lore of Dune.
It is my unpopular opinion that it just, on paper I should like it, and every time anyone ever talks to me about it, I just kind of get the same reaction I get whenever I'm listening to Last Podcast on the Left and they start talking about aliens, and I'm just like, I
Yeah.
don't care. I'm
I
sorry.
think part of it is
It
that
doesn't
you
land for
didn't
me.
read through it. and you're
I
not a
tried.
super big reading boy these days.
I
And
tried
the
like
other
in
part of it
college.
is everything you like is influenced by it. So when you see something, you're like, oh yeah, I've seen this before. And it's because it's somebody ripping off Frank Herbert's Dune. They literally, like, the original Dune novel is the first time faster than light travel is mentioned in a fantasy slash sci-fi setting. Like, it's the first time it was ever theorized or
Uh-huh.
played around with as a concept. Tell me which of your sci-fi books doesn't use this shit.
I would argue I feel like if he didn't come up with it, somebody else would have later.
Okay.
It isn't like it's
That's the same argument for Tolkien, but it doesn't change the fact that it's still the best. Like, yeah, technically they came up with the term space marine in the 20s, but not a carbon copy that they've emulated for the past 50 years of space marine. It's just a guy in space that had a laser gun.
it's a guy in space who is a marine.
All right, but my point is space marine, the way that Warhammer ripped it off, was made in the 70s.
Uh-huh.
They still ripped it off because Warhammer hasn't had an original thought maybe ever. It's
No.
absolutely true. You can't defend game. Okay,
I'm
I thought
not.
you were
No,
disagreeing with me.
I know. I'm telling you,
You
I
shook
know.
your head. You weren't
I
using
was
words.
like,
You were like,
yeah, I was like, yeah,
I
you're
don't-
right. I mean, every faction they have is a ripoff that they have to call something else because they can't call them what they were originally because they want to trademark it.
we call them orcs with a K.
That's honestly that's fine to me, but when it's like we are the Dward, not Dwarden. No, that's what they call them. They call them like the Dwarden for
Dwarforden.
dwarves. It's like just call them dwarves, bro. But we can't trademark dwarves.
Well, and they're not dwarves anymore. Now they're balloon riding space dwarves from space.
I know. We have the Caradron overlords because we can't just have dwarves anymore in our fantasy game. Unless they're the
I
fire
love
slayers.
that you love this stuff, and mostly that you just love their models. But the bottom line is, boy, oh boy, do I hate it. This is the closest I'll ever get. This is the one Warhammer model that I have. So let's get him close up. Will you focus? He won't focus. A little Minotaur with 2 axes. I got him for
So
free when
many.
I bought a different Minotaur.
I've got like a bunch within like arm's reach of me.
Yeah, but I don't want any of them. I just want this one.
Got my little like harbinger of decay. Little guy. You know,
Okay, but counterpoint, is that a Minotaur with 2 axes?
it is not.
Sounds like it's inferior.
It is.
He
They
gets
fucked
smacked
up when they
around by a
moved
Minotaur.
beyond fantasy and we're like, we don't have regular dwarves and elves anymore. And I just went, why would I play your fantasy then?
I mean, I would argue they fucked up when they ever made anything other than fantasy.
Dwarves.
40K was a mistake.
I am in the minor opinion on the Warhammer fans of I like fantasy better. I like fantasy and I like Age of Sigmar better than I like what they're doing with 40K, but
It's a shame that they made them the same rule set.
no. I don't
Remember
wanna,
when fantasy had flavor?
they're different, but yes. They are
marginally
they are more the same now than they used to be, but they are very much different ways of play. I like the tactics of Age of Sigmar better anyway, but
does terrain matter anymore?
it does if you care to. It depends on
Functionally
who you're
over
playing
the course
with.
of a match. Will terrain matter? Unless you
Rules
absolutely
as
cheese
written,
the hell
yes.
out of it.
Rules as written, it does matter.
Because you can still charge through it with no penalties unless they've changed the rule set in the last like 6 months.
Rules
and number
as
two,
written, it matters.
And number two, when I make a single turn, am I still rolling a bucket and a half of dice?
Oh, brother, yeah. If you're playing orcs, you've got like a Home Depot size 5-gallon bucket full of those fucking D6s.
There was a time, my friend, and I've played this, where your rank would be, oh, it's 5 across, you get 5 attacks this turn.
Mm-hmm.
Not 400 attacks because your Skaven have shown up.
See, yeah, but I was about to say, my Skaven that I have played as, one, like, if I charged, each one of them got, like, 3 attacks, so it would be 120 attack rolls at once. I had a fucking Yahtzee cup that I would just be like, boom.
This is everything wrong with this, and you're saying it in a positive light, and it's okay.
It's fun.
I'm glad that you like it.
Roll math rocks.
Math rocks.
Hit them with the math rocks. Well, I guess we can stop with our topics there for now. It'll be a good break time, and we can do our little radio after.
You have to pee time, don't you?
I've had to for like the last 30 minutes.
Your eyes are yellow.
I'm just sitting here, it's like.
So is there the pause banner going to go up, and then I'm going to make you watch some dumb clips from video games as well as some music?
Yeah, I'll put my BRB banner up for a minute.